To Khushi's point about every time we meet, we have more losses. There was yet another loss yesterday, a very personal one for some of us, including myself. And I wanted to just take a moment to mention the loss of Khurshid Shahid, who passed away early this morning in Lahore, who began her career with All India Radio in Delhi and went on to become a major television star and stage and television and music personality in Pakistan, and her son Salman Shahid. Her only son Salman Shahid, who I was married to, and they've been a great part of my life. And Salman is the father of our only daughter Maha. So I wanted to just make a mention of that because it was yesterday this happened. What I wanted to share here just now, I'll just take literally, hopefully just a few minutes to just share why we are doing this. Khushi already has talked about it to some extent. And I will just take a few minutes to say how I came to this. So Sapan for me is a story of connections and history and hope. And it's something that began like in the 1990s when I joined the Pakistan India People's Forum for Peace and Democracy. But before that, I had the story of my father, Dr. Muhammad Sarwar, who was, I consider him a people's doctor who wouldn't charge patients for their artists, laborers, workers, people like that. He often wouldn't charge them. And after he passed away in 2009, so many people said how he didn't charge people. And student activists who would go to him told me that they would go to him at the end of the day because then he would just open his drawer and take out cash and just give them. And by that's the time when he would have the most cash from people in the neighborhood he would charge whatever they could afford. So, and he had been a student activist, like I said, working for students' rights as a medical student. So this is the background that I had of my vision of what a doctor should be. And my father had Shifa. And when I moved to Lahore, and that's when I was married to Salman and living in Lahore for 11 years when I lived in Lahore, that's when I met Dr. Mubashir Hassan, who told me once that he was a hawk turned dove, and he was a very prominent political activist and also one of the co-founders of the Pakistan India People's Forum for Peace and Democracy, along with his friend Nikhil Chakravarti. And Dr. Mubashir's lecture in 2003 for his friend, "The Walls Must Come Down," is still so relevant. And I think we should share it with all our participants so they can have a read. It's a really excellent talk that he sent me. So Dr. Mubashir, when I moving on to the next part, when while I was in Lahore also, one of my mentors was Asma Jahangir, who was, as she said, peace and human rights activists have to keep pushing the envelope. No one is going to give it to them on a platter. So we've been going at this, but we can't stop, right? And the reason why all of us are here is because we believe in this. And then when I came here to Boston, Dr. Mubashir introduced me to his friend, Dr. Bernard Lawn, who he had stayed with here in Boston. And Dr. Lawn was a cardiologist turned peace activist and environmental campaigner who sadly passed away this year in February, aged 99. And he was a co-founder of the International Physicians for Peace for the Prevention of Nuclear War. And Dr. Haroon Ahmad, who Khushi Kabir mentioned earlier, a comrade of my father's, who unfortunately could not join us today because he's not well. He's a prominent psychiatrist. Was also part of the Pakistan chapter of the IPPNW. And this is a picture I took of Dr. Bernard Lawn signing a petition, a statement we had put out for India-Pakistan peace. And at that time, when we did that statement, it was like, what's the point? How many statements are we going to do? But then, like one of a parliamentarian in India who didn't want to go public with his statement, whatever, but said to me, that everything counts and maybe we can be like pebbles in the pond. So you throw a pebble and it causes a ripple and it has this ripple effect. So Dr. Bernard Lawn was like, he signed this thing, and he had actually really gone into his focus had moved from the nuclear weapons issue to environmental campaigning, because he said this is the biggest threat to humanity right now, bigger than the nuclear issue at this point. So Dr. Lawn also wrote a couple of books that I think are very linked to what we are talking about here. The Prescription for Survival is his story of the IPPNW and how they organized it. And The Lost Art of Healing is about practicing compassion in medicine, which many of us believe is no longer, it's gone. Medicine has become a corporation and institution, but the physicians who are here with us, I think, believe in this philosophy that I've mentioned earlier also. So for me, Sapan, the symbol that I had when I was thinking about all these years of working with Pakistan-India people's, Pakistan-India issues, South Asia issues. Kanak Dixit is here, who's one of my mentors, the Himal South Asian, the South Asian Vision. So for me, all these things sort of started coming together over the last couple of years after Asma Jahangi passed away, and I started thinking about all these losses and how we can take forward their legacy of all the people that we also had in our slideshow that was shared earlier. So for me, I was thinking of a sphere, and I found this image on the web that actually, speaks to the vision that I had in mind, which is a sphere with nodes all around and inside, and it's connected. So Sapan, for me, is like, it's intergenerational, it's across the region, it's within the region, it's connecting communities, it's connecting, areas like medicine, art, activism, and art, literature, because Faiz Sahab is a very important part of our narrative, and he was a mentor of my father's and of Salima Hashmi's father, who's here with us today. There's just, and Faiz Saab's poems, as you know, are being sung in India. The students are singing Faiz Saab's poems in India, and the students in Pakistan are singing the poems of Indian poets in their rallies and in their activism. So this is a long, like a silsila, a process that's continuing. And I'm so grateful to all of you who are here, and especially the young people who have joined, because you are our future. Priyanka, Shuja, Vishal, and so many of you. I'm not going to name all of you, but you are Mandira and everyone. So I'm going to stop the screen share, and I'm going to end here and hand it back to Priyanka. Thank you so much.